titled Double Blind, and as a reference it comes from the process that medical science use in order to define the consequences on a drug. And it's the process where the actual subject of the experiment and the doctors that do the experiment, they don't have any clue whatsoever about what's going on during the process. And in a way, I wanted to describe the situation on the basis that somebody could experience a psychological situation or imagine something about himself. Body of work that deals a lot with the concept of the psychological landscape. It's a multimedia show that includes video works, paper works, paintings, of course, sculptural works, that all together combine. I think that they can deliver the idea of this psychological landscape and what this structure, let's say, could mean to a viewer that comes in the show and sees this structure getting unfolded in front of you. Every show that I kind of start working with the idea of the show, is getting developed through, I would say, a multi-layered process that goes from, as a starting point, I do a lot of drawing work, all works on paper, different sizes of that, and what I do, I try to first form a certain mood of the show. Then I have a specific process of doing my painting work, which is inviting people in the studio and then creating some kind of set, and then they sit for me, and I take video, and I also do photo shooting with these poses. Then I start collecting like a archive of images, and then when I choose the poses that are interesting for me to make a painting out of it, I start working on the canvas. When I do a show, I sometimes I'm showing all the paraphernalia of this process, which means the objects, the clothing, sometimes the drawings of my process, and I think that helps a lot in order to understand the full concept of my work. When I start thinking about doing this work, I wanted to create a situation where there's a juxtaposition going. That means that I wanted to have a rather exotic background, but then I wanted the personalities or the persons that are depicted here in the work to exist in a different kind of place, which kind of connotates a certain type of solitude. So what I did is I did the shooting in the basement of the Athens studio, where I tried to create this kind of feeling of that the persons are somewhere inside, but then what you see is like them being in the middle of the jungle, let's say. And that's kind of a situation that goes through all the current shows, the Double Blind show, where the inside space and the outside kind of backgrounds create the contrast of this non-spatial atmosphere. I mean, that they exist somewhere that is not an actual space, but rather a psychological space. space where they can imagine themselves an identity, or a space that they can dream of. And that was the basic idea structuring that. Of course, that refers a lot to artists like the griego, for example, that creates this kind of multi-layer concept of space, or even Gaston. You have that also there, like the very specific horizon, and then it could be inside or outside, and then behind you see scenes from usually outside. Sometimes when I work the paintings, I refer a lot to the history of art, and I try to create this kind of language of symbols that they could be easily recognizable somehow, and then they help the viewer to go a little bit further on the process of the work.